All right. Good morning, everybody. JT here with you in the studio, and Mr. Brandon Carpenter beside me over there. Good morning, Brandon.
Good morning. Good morning.
We got another show in store for us today. Got a fun one lined up for everybody. So we'll uh we'll get through the everybody hates to hear about it stuff and but wants to. It's one of those love hate things, and that's the latest in some of the news that's going on in our industry. But before we get to that, we switch screens there. How you doing, man? What's been happening with you?
Oh man, I'll tell you, I'm good. It's a hot day over here in Ohio. We have like 76% humidity today, and
Oh,
it's supposed to be
yeah.
about 90. I think it was supposed to be 92 with 76% humidity. Today's one of those days that you walk outside the door and you're instantly just sweating bullets and everything's sticky. So
We had yesterday, um, it was yesterday or Sunday, out, I can't remember now. It's all a blur. I walked out and I'm like, God, why does it feel so kind of muggy? And I looked at it was 76% humidity here. All the
yeah,
moisture
that's
in the
wild.
ground was coming up because it was sunshine and warm, not hot,
Yep.
just warm. And it was muggy. And I walked, I took a walk around the property and took care of some stuff. And I came back and I'm like, oh my gosh, man, I feel like I just, took a swim or something.
Well, it is tropical. That's the way I would
Yeah.
describe it. Tropical weather.
Yeah. I agree. And it's like you go outside and the atmosphere, the air gives you a hug.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah. The hug you didn't ask for.
It is, man. So yeah, well, it's that time of the year too. I mean, right now this is perfect. I don't know when we're supposed to really start getting it, but I think by Sunday, I saw triple digits possibly creeping in on us, and
Oh wow.
yeah, so it's going to warm up. I mean, it was bound to do it. We've had a long, extended spring of just mild, really nice weather where, the way I gauge it is if I don't run heat at night and air during the day, I'm, you know, first of all, I'm money ahead, and it's just comfortable to have the windows and
Yeah.
doors open and everything. It's just beautiful. But yeah, not gonna last. Not gonna. It's gonna get warm, and we're gonna go back to air conditioning and you know multi-$100 bills, power bills and whatnot. So
Oh, trust me, I know. We had a brutal winter. So our luckily I heat with wood, but still, I burned more firewood than I ever have this winter, and
yep,
the cost of heating was still way up because I got to run all them circulation pumps, so the electricity bills were the
yep.
highest they've been. And it's definitely a rough winter as far as that.
I prefer. In fact, I had my house in Folsom that I lived in for damn near 10 years. Had a fireplace, a wood burning stove, and it had central heat and central air, but I preferred the fireplace, man. So I bought firewood and had a fire all winter long. That was and it was so convenient to do it and so efficient because this was a house I split with the owner. The owner lived upstairs, I lived downstairs, and just him and me, in this big place. And they're two separate dwellings. The downstairs was completely sealed off from the upstairs. And I asked him one time. I said, "How much are we spending? What's the power bill like? Now in Folsom, they're on a different. They're not PG&E,
Yeah.
and the power for this house was like a couple $100 a month for electricity. That was it.
Geez.
Yeah,
Man, that's great.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
I'm really fortunate here too. So I run an outdoor wood burner, which I always say, that the outdoor wood burner is great because it circulates hot water through your concrete
I
floors
was
and
going
as
to
well as
ask you if
lava.
it was one of those. Yeah, okay.
Yep, yep. And I really enjoy it too. The worst thing is it's enjoyable for about the first 3 weeks. But one, it's such a big firebox that when you do fill it, you stand there for a half hour, and the biggest chunks you can possibly pick up and throw in this thing, you
Yeah.
chuck in there, and there's nothing, it's always great because it's always like when you fire it up, you walk out there, and it's like it's at nighttime, there's snow falling, you get that wood smoke smell, and then about a month into it, you open that door, you get blasted with hot air in the face,
Yeah.
burn your eyebrows off, everything's singed, you stink like smoke. You have to plan your showers around if you're going somewhere. You have to fill the wood burner before you take a shower because if you go out to fill it after you take a shower, you're going to smell like an ashtray. So,
All these things that it started out, it was fun and everything, and now it's work.
yeah, I always say every year I'm always happy to fire it up. Like it's always like a nostalgia thing. It's just great to go out and smell that wood smoke, smell that campfire smoke, and then once that thing's burning for about a month, I'm so over it. I'm ready to shut it down. Come March, and this year it was April before I was able to shut it down. But
Wow.
come normally March, I am so ready to turn that thing off. Actually, normally the week of Louisville is whenever I shut it off, and then I don't touch it again until the next fall. So.
Wow. And now this one, you have to hand load it.
Yeah, you have to hand load it all. It's all chucked through a firebox door, and it's a 3 foot by 3 foot door, so it's a pretty large door.
That's pretty
But when
big.
you're trying to pick up big chunks and get them in
Yeah.
there and get them over the next one, it's a
Yeah.
lot of it's a lot.
I've seen ones that were built so you could load them with the skid steer, or
Yeah.
you
So
know.
I want one of those in the worst way, but they're like $30,000, and I just haven't been able
Oh,
to wrap my mind around that yet.
yeah, man. So you know what? So I mean, wood used to be a great alternative because it was such a great way to heat your house,
Yeah.
and it was so much, it save money saver, right? Not anymore.
Yeah.
Not
Well, so
anymore.
and that's a lot of that's a lot of the problem, is it used to be, and it also comes down to like I've seen too. So around here, a lot of the house fires that I went to were because people were heating with wood, chimney fires,
Yeah.
stove fires, whatever it came down to, it was always related to wood or coal. Seemed to
Yeah.
always be if it wasn't an electrical fire, that's what you had. In 90% of our fires, most of them started out as chimney fires and then worked their way to the interior of the house.
Right.
So I've always been a guy. I don't like chimneys. I don't like having them in my house. But an outdoor wood burner is a safe alternative. But the cost of that, sometimes it's like you're getting to the point where propane's almost competitive. That even though you can get the firewood for free, it gets to a point of the propane is almost better, and you can use on-demand water heaters to run those systems. And I've actually thought about going to that because it's getting to the point it's not really saving me a whole lot anymore.
What are you guys paying for propane back there?
It varies. I don't know what the rate is right now. I haven't checked into it for a while, but it varies. It's probably similar to what you guys are paying where you're at. I mean, I know it's through the roof too, but
You know what? That's the thing. It's from my position. It's not. It's 235 a gallon.
oh, well then yeah. So it's not bad then.
No, and it's been that for a better part of a year, I think.
Hmm.
And now we did just get a rate increase, but I think it went up to maybe 250. I don't know. I just filled up two what are they, 30-pound bottles, the bigger size ones.
Yeah, you probably got 30 pounders.
Yeah, and it was $33 to fill them up. So that's 14 gallons.
You can't, you can't beat that.
And that
Yeah.
lasts at this time of year, that lasts for a long, that'll last probably all the way through to next winter.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
because all it's doing is heating up all it's doing is running the stove, stovetop. That's it.
Yeah.
Central heat, it runs that, but like I said, I'm not running, the central heat barely at all. I mean, I think the bottles I've had in there now have been in there for probably 2 months or more. There, been so little need for it. So looks like we don't have our memory guy today. So Matt, hope you're
Yeah,
doing
he's not,
okay.
uh, yeah, he's I'm not really sure what's going on with Matt. I haven't had a chance to talk to him.
All right, we'll
I'm
catch up
sure
with him later.
I'm sure we'll give him crap. I'm sure he's got a good excuse.
We'll find out what's going on with him. We got some stuff we're going to talk about. One of the things that I wanted to to do. The fun thing, I want to make this a fun show today. So we're going to talk truck movies, man. What was our favorite truck movies? I was looking forward to having Matt be a part of that too. That way we could have a little more, what his eyeballs have seen over the years too. But the other thing I want to talk about first, and that's just some of the stuff that at top of the news cycle that's out there that it just keeps getting thrown in my face, man. And it's the algorithm. Once you start down that path, it's just going to keep coming at you, right?
Right.
And of course, trucking news and information is one of my top cycles on a regular basis. Autonomous trucks are coming back up into the news cycle big time, and PepsiCo is one of the big users of the autonomous electric. All the way they're all in, man. Apparently, they're gonna not have drivers. They're not gonna have diesel trucks. They're gonna do the whole thing. So they're big into it. And there's some other companies that are kind of falling into the deal too. But I got to looking at some of these trucks, and when you think about it, it's not just when you create an autonomous truck, you didn't just take a driver out of the truck. He's not the only one who loses.
Yeah.
Man, there's a whole bunch of other stuff around that just lost out. And it's not only the ancillary things that go along that the drivers need to have, that those businesses relied on drivers taking, time and being a customer of, whether it's a restaurant or a fuel stop, repair shop. Well, I mean, everything along, just all these different things along the way that a driver would normally take part in, and be a part of, and that they've created along the way so that drivers have a place to go, to park, to rest, to eat, to, sleep, to whatever. I mean, it just changes the whole dynamic of the whole industry. I mean, the autonomous truck pulls up or gets towed in to the repair facility. There's nobody there to tell you what it's doing. So you're 100% relying on whatever that truck might tell you. And we all know how well that works these days anyway, even with the driver there. But you're better, as a mechanic, you have a better advantage or a better chance of knowing what's wrong with it, because the driver's there to tell you what it's doing or not doing, right?
Right. So, and this ties into our topic of favorite trucking movies too, because this kind of goes hand in hand with that. But the movie Maximum Overdrive, who would have
Yeah.
thought, as a kid watching that movie, and I was horrified. I remember the first time I watched as a child, remember where the lawnmower runs over the dude, and like, yeah, just like when you're a little kid, to
Yeah.
you in your young mind, you're like, man, this could be reality. This could really happen, and then as you age, you're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, obviously this doesn't
Yep.
exist. And now here we are as adults,
Hey,
pretty much this is what's going to happen,
hey,
and it's like I
guess what,
it's
George
not as
Jetson?
it's yeah, yeah, it's kind of like I was saying about, the historical stuff that everybody tries to over glorify it. Like the death isn't going to come and the truck's just going to take over, and like the lawnmower is just going to take itself over and chase you down and run you over physically. But the truck potentially might run you over because it
Good.
doesn't know what it's doing. So here we are, Maximum Overdrive's actually coming to life. Like who would have thought?
So so I mean, just kind of as a George Jetson, Buck Rogers, pick your whoever. Did you ever watch the movie The Fifth Element? You ever
Yeah.
seen that movie with
Yep.
yeah? I mean, what? Okay, so I have yet to do it, and I don't know that I'm going to, and that is get in an autonomous cab. Like they're all over San Francisco. The
Yep.
Waymo, wait.
Yeah, I know. I kind of want to go see what they're all about. I actually have a buddy who he got into, and which I kind of laugh about this. He got into a big situation with one of those because he had pulled up into an intersection in a rig and he had to swing out to make the turn.
Yeah,
Well, as he's pulling up to swing out, here comes this cab out of nowhere, and it's one of those, and it pulls up right in front of him. Well, he can't back up. There's a whole line of traffic behind him. He has nowhere to go. And then the autonomous cab doesn't know to back up.
Right.
So they were in a standoff, and this went on, and he just kept. And so the car knows, like, if something's getting ready to hit it, it inches back. So he'd pull up, and then the car would pull right up against him. Then he'd pull up, and it would just keep. This went on for like a half hour. He gets out of his truck, and he actually posted video on Facebook of it. And it's like, I've kind of wanted to go, check it out and just see what it's all about. But I don't
Yeah.
know that I can bring myself to be in a car without a driver. Right?
I'm not going to do it. I don't, I'm not,
No.
I'm just not, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm not willing to give up that much of myself in the hopes this thing gets me where I want to go.
Yeah. I agree.
And your buddy, he gets out of his truck to start saying, "You stupid son of a," what?
That's pretty much was what it was. The thing had tinted windows, so he gets out, and it's so funny because on his dash cam, you're watching him get out. He walks up to it, and he's throwing his hands up, like waiting for somebody to roll the window down, and then he starts looking in closer, and it's like, there's nobody in this car. There's nobody.
Home.
It wasn't even occupied. There was no riders in it. It was probably going to go pick somebody up, and it was so funny because it's like people are stopping, and everybody's like, "What do we do?" Nobody knew what to do. How do you get the car out of the way? And he just, it literally, and I don't know how the thing ended. I meant to ask him, how it finally ended, but I know it was a half-hour long video of just him going back and forth trying to get this car out of his way. I
can't, that would be a sight to see. And do you want, I don't know, maybe you or Matt, this is where we need Matt. Is there a backup plan for these autonomous cabs? Like, okay, signals are going off, warning, flags, buzzers, lights, whatever, back in the mothership, wherever they're at. And is there somebody that can step in and take over manual control of this thing, if it need be? Or, I mean, how does that happen?
Yeah, like you would think, like, how those old train movies where like there was like a switchboard, and everybody's in there watching all the trains on the track. You would think there would be something similar to that where somebody's in there actually, paying attention and they're watching the cars go around. But this day and age, who knows? I mean,
I don't know.
That could be
and that, now let's escalate that up the ladder. What about big rigs, man? Are we talking, these things are on their own and the mothership's just another, mainframe computer somewhere that is going to just run everything and that's it? Or do we have people somewhere that can step in at a moment's notice and intervene?
I highly doubt it. I mean, that's the whole point of this, is to take the human element out of it. That I don't trust these companies. I don't trust that, that's how they're going to operate these trucks. That somebody, a person is actually physically going to be watching their movements. I don't think that's the case, and these companies, it always kind of gets me. PepsiCo is one of them that PepsiCo controls more than just, the pop industry. They're into tomato sauce even. I mean, they're into, they have a lot of different, umbrella companies that are underneath them. They're huge.
Right.
And you look at it, their logistics, and just how many people it takes to operate that. And that's the problem as a country. We're becoming a country that, this technology is getting so advanced that is taking the fact that we need humans to run it away. And everybody's got to have a job, and that's what always kind of gets me. So if people can't afford to buy food, how are you going to sell it whenever you've just got rid of all the jobs of the people who buy your products? Then they no longer have money to buy your product. It's all counterproductive, at a certain point. And that's where we're getting, is some of the stuff is getting to the point where it's counterproductive, and these companies don't see it. They'll make this decision, they'll say, oh yeah, we're going to implement this. And then 4 years down the road go, our numbers are down 20%. Gee, we can't figure out why. It's like, well, it's pretty common sense to me. But
taking the people out of the equation has become, I think companies are more driven than ever because so many things have happened since COVID. And we had this conversation just a few minutes ago about, like, the pre-COVID, post-COVID, during COVID stuff that's gone on. it's changed the landscape of the world, right?
Yeah,
And
well, the other thing, the other side of this too is it's also, as much as we can sit here and blame the companies, it also falls back to us as humans, us as citizens of this country. It falls back on us also because what's the old saying you hear right now? You go into a restaurant, you go somewhere, there's no customer service anymore.
none.
Nobody wants to work.
Yep.
I mean, prime example, the other night, did you see all the rioting going on after the big basketball game? What they did in New York City? Like, to
I
me,
didn't
I'm sitting there
after they
going,
lost just the other night.
yeah, you didn't
After,
see all the rioting and how oh my God, they went out, they tore stuff up like crazy, and that's been going on forever. But I when I watch that stuff, and especially the size of crowds, you're seeing this too, where all these kids are running around and they're taking over, these malls and these events because
the
their
teenage
parents, who knows
takeovers.
where
Yeah.
they're at.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this all goes hand in hand of where the problem lies. Okay, I always look at it and I say, all right, well, the other night most of us have to go to work the next day. We all have things we need to accomplish. We don't
Yep.
have time to stay up all night and riot to whatever,
Yeah.
and you're seeing such large crowds, and it's the same thing with the kids. Those kids are getting to the age where, at that age, I was trying to go out and mow lawns. I was doing this, I was doing that. And whenever I wasn't doing those things, I was with my parents. And yes, occasionally you might go hang out with friends, but not in these large groups like they are. And that's where, as a society, we're also losing some of our moral compass. And part of that moral compass is hard work and being part of the labor force. And
Right.
nobody wants to do that. So,
Yeah. The morning water cooler moment at the office or at the shop or whatever. That's where that used to be social media, right?
exactly. You might go into work the next morning, your head might hurt, you might be pounding, but you're still there,
Yeah, you're
and
there.
not only that, but I'm at the age where I'm looking at some of these people going, man, I got to work tomorrow. I'm going home and I'm going to bed, and these people are like, yeah, I'm staying out till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm just going to call off tomorrow. It's
Yeah.
too easy to not show up for work,
Yeah.
and that is a large part of our problem too, is the workforce doesn't want to work. So you have a balancing act here between these companies, that yes, some of this technology is horrible, but some of it I understand why they're trying to implement it. Do I want it? No, heck no. I want to see people working, but we as a country have got to start working.
But this is a conversation that's been going on since COVID. Again, it's another milestone timeline marker of when did all this kind of go south? Well, that'd be about 2019. It seemed like once COVID hit, it just went south. It's never recovered. It's never come back.
I think
And
it started before then. I think it started actually about the time that my generation, when the millennials first really started to become of age. It
yeah.
became the everyone gets a trophy age.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You have to go to college to be successful.
Yep.
Everyone's going to be a doctor and a lawyer, and that's you're only going to hold the highest positions in life. Never
Yeah.
mind the fact that we need mechanics, we need
Plumbers,
we need
electricians, and
electricians. We,
yeah.
we need all those people.
Yeah.
Never
Yeah.
mind that, but every child, you got to do better than your parents. You got to go one step further, and you need to be a doctor or whatever it is. And then there was this big push for college, and look at what happened.
Yeah. Well, the trades are making a comeback. People realize that Home Depot's not as sexy as they make it out to be, or Lowe's, or name your ace, whoever. I mean, look, I'm still hands on as I can be. I mean, there's just a point where you have to pay people now to be involved more than you did on your own before. Some of us, I don't have knees. I mean, I can't get down on the ground, crawl around, and do the stuff I used to be able to do. It's just my knees are like, nope, you ain't doing that. So,
Oh,
but yeah,
I get it. Even me,
yeah,
the work I do, sometimes I'm looking at that going, I'm not picking that up anymore because my back's going to hurt for 3 weeks after I pick that up. But what's funny is the 20-year-old kid next to me will look at it and go, oh, I'm not picking that up. That's heavy. I don't pick up heavy stuff. And it's like, when I was your age, I would have
yeah,
picked it up, not thought twice about it, and did it because the work needed to be done. And now
yeah,
it's it's all become about self-preservation, that you as a person, and I, that's the thing too. Like, everybody to each their own.
Yep.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you need to pick that up if it's going to hurt your back or whatever. But it's kind of like, I always laugh. What did all the old timers always tell us? Don't jump down off that trailer like that, because someday your knees are going to be bad. Well, I hate to tell everybody this, but one thing I've learned, regardless whether you jump off that trailer or not, you're going to get old, your knees are going to hurt.
Yeah.
So I would rather do the work and keep my knees working good, hopefully, and jump off that trailer, be careful about it, but jump off that trailer and keep my body strong, than just
Yeah.
not do it at all and say, well, I'm going to walk to the back of the trailer and get off here real slow.
You know what, man? So much. I mean, and I want to make sure we get to this part of the show here. Again, we're going to do a fun thing here. We're going to talk favorite truck movies in a minute, but the ways that we do things and the ways we used to do things have changed immensely. There's a super emphasis on job safety, let's just call it, and whereas, back in the day, man, I mean, in the shops I worked at, guys were taking, air hoses and blowing brakes off and clutches, and your hands are in solvent washing parts. I just saw a thing on yeah, right. I just saw a thing.
Just did it earlier today.
You can't even get the solvent. You can't get solvent out here anymore.
Yeah, so they've changed the chemical composition of brake clean. You can't get, good brake clean anymore because the chemicals are so bad.
Right.
Well, what did we all used to do? Your hands get covered in grease, spray some brake clean on it, and wipe it off with a rag.
Hey, the best thing all day long was to be, once you get everything apart, is hit the parts cleaner, tank, and get that nice cold, solvent all over your hands washing parts, and plus you get your hands clean, and I mean, yeah, little did we all know, that's all benzene, man.
Yeah.
And now there's class action suits. It just came up on my screen the other day. Are you suffering from blah blah blah? And they're naming all these things. Were you a mechanic? Did you used to use parts cleaners with benzene? I'm thinking to myself,
sign up for our lawsuit so we can make $300 million.
Yeah. Anyway, so and then of course the simplest of things, man, was ear protection. Well, what was that? I mean, nobody bothered to tell anybody, that we'd, like me, I got ringing in my ears 24/7, man. I mean, it's and nowadays, they're handing you ear protection everywhere you turn in a shop or in whatever, industrial environment that you're in. It's just, there was so many.
Well, and that's the thing, there is a fine line between safety and getting the job done in a timely manner. And that's also the other problem too, is there's nothing wrong with safety. There's nothing wrong with self-preservation of taking care of your body and taking care of yourself. But there also gets to the point where it's like, okay, we're going to spend a half hour setting up for a job that takes 15 minutes because of safety. And then, you end up doing the job in 15 minutes and you did all the safety stuff. And then you complete maybe a quarter of the task you were supposed to get done in a day because you're dealing with all the safety stuff. Well, and that's the problem too, is some of it, it's just not effective, and you're going to get old. Your body's going to wear out. Your knees are going to hurt, whether you sit in a chair. Actually, if you sit in a chair, you're probably going to get older quicker than if you jump off that trailer, honestly. So
yeah, well, that's another story all in itself. But the preparation, to say whether it be safety or whatever it is that you have to do, and there's a lot. I mean, I always think of it this way, man. Some guys are just, they're destined to be painters and they love painting. Well, painting, you know what? Most of it's in the prep work, and then the actual paint itself takes you 2 seconds, but it took you, 2 hours to get that thing prepped so you could get it so you could paint it, and then there's the tear it all back down. Now you got to rip all that masking and whatever else off. And anyway, it's just, it's a
cycle. Every couple of days, trust me, I know.
Yeah, I know you do. By the way, Dan is on, and he said people, him included, were saying the same things about Uber when we were talking about the autonomous, cars and stuff, and not getting in some stranger's car, and it's so true, man. I mean, but it's that, or what's the quickest way to get the everybody, the government, and all these things listening to all of us? Well, if you've got any kind of, and everybody's had AI in their houses, whether they get it or not, they have for years now. With
Yeah.
and I ain't going to say her name because she'll say something to me here. You got your little hockey puck, somewhere in the house, maybe one or two, maybe two of them. I do. I have one at each end of the house, and your phone's listening all the time,
Oh,
all
absolutely.
the time. Trust me, I know it is. And there it is. We've all got that, but
Yeah.
I'm still not going to get in the car, one of these no driver cars, and having it drive me around.
Yeah, that's the thing. The phone, I always laugh because, people are always like, well, they're listening. I don't want, it's always, you hear all these people all the time, I don't want the government listening on me. And it's like, guys, they were doing it back when we had landlines, they could tap a landline, no
Yeah.
problem. They've got technology. I mean, I don't know if you ever listen to any of the presidential phone calls from the White House and stuff. Like, there's some really funny ones that were made. Johnson made some phone calls at one
Yeah.
point. Like, there's some really funny things,
Yeah.
and you're sitting there going, and you're like, okay, how'd they record this? Because we're talking like 1930s, 40s. Like, how are these recordings still around? How did they get them digitized and
Yeah.
get, they've had technology to listen in on us
Forever.
forever.
Yeah.
And the phone. I mean, that's always laughs. Every time you pick this up or you've got it on you, GPS, they can listen in, whatever.
Yep.
I don't care. I don't do anything real well. We all do things that are legal. I mean, I'm a truck driver, but as far as this stuff, my FBI agent, I feel really bad for the guy. He's got to be like, man, assign me to somebody new because this sounds boring.
You know what? I mean, it's and I was just reading this the other day. They want to implement. We're back to the black box, but it's a camera now. They want to get the in cab cameras going and make it mandatory.
Yeah.
And
Well,
huh?
Ford's wanting to do the black box that shuts the law enforcement will be able to shut your vehicle down.
Yeah. Right.
They'll basically be able to flip a switch and you're done. It shuts
Right.
it off and you're done.
Right. Well, that was that. I mean, shit, 20 years ago, I think something like that. They were talking about that kind of stuff. But now I think the camera thing. I'll tell you what. I think the camera, in cab camera, has a advantage towards the trucker of having that, because it's always the trucker's fault. Whatever happens out there, until roll the film and maybe not. And I watched one yesterday where I think it was a sheriff did a brake check on a truck, and the truck smashed the back end.
Yep,
You've seen it, yeah, right? Yep. And the guy's like, "Hey, it's all right here on film," so you're busted. I mean, there's no way around that, and that's what I like about that. But here's the thing I get from a guy that's in that truck 24/7. And he's, that's his life, man. That's everything room. It's bedroom, living room, front room, kitchen, the whole 9 yards, right? You're in that thing, and the office all day long, everywhere you're going, and that thing's rolling on you. I'm feeling a little bit kind of, yeah, maybe not, but and because they're talking about it being, front facing and rear facing, so they're capturing the cab inside with the driver during the whole thing too. And I have no doubt it's coming. It's going to happen. I don't know about mandatory, but I think there's going to be companies that are going to say, yeah, this is part of what we do. And you either, you just accept that and take that as part of the job, or go find another job somewhere else. And I bet that's going to happen. So, I taking the fun out of trucking, there's been a lot of things that have come along that have done that. But again, there's a lot of guys voluntarily that on their own, owner operators, that have put cameras in their rigs just for the reasons I just, mentioned. And
even me, whenever I go to shows and stuff, my old semis, if it wouldn't be for that nostalgia factor, and it's like I've kind of turned trucking for me back into a hobby somewhat, that I don't really haul much anymore, but I still go out there and truck a lot, all these shows and everything. And even me, I've often thought, man, I really need to put a camera in my dash as much as
Yeah,
I don't want to, as much as I love the nostalgia factor of it all, and just cruising down the highway. I really should, because I mean, I had a fatality accident a couple years ago, that wasn't my fault, where a guy in a motorcycle ran into the back of my semi trailer. And, granted, a rear face, there would have been no real video footage
nothing
of
there
it,
to see. Yeah,
since it
yeah,
was from behind, but at least it would have shown. And that was one of the things I'd said, it would have shown to back up what I was saying, how I made the turn, how,
yeah,
where I was at, whatever had happened and all that stuff. It would have at least gave somewhat of a picture of what I was doing at that time.
yeah.
And, I was exonerated on it all. It was definitely not my fault. The guy actually ended up being drunk and had some issues. But still, those cameras sometimes can really help out if you're in a situation that,
Right.
I could have easily been accused of that, and that been something I would have had to fight off in court, or whatever, and not having any video footage. And it's basically just comes down to it's my word against what some other accident reconstruction person says. That would be very helpful evidence.
I think the cameras. I'm for it. I think, especially as an owner operator, I'd be for it. I'd like to have the technology that worked in our favor, so that there'd be some sort of activation for side view, rear view, the trailer, the whole 9 yards, so that anything
Yeah.
that possibly could happen would be captured, so you're 100% covered.
Well,
That.
the other one that always amazes me in today's technology, that we do not have cameras inside freight boxes, van trailers, that are monitoring what tow motor drivers are doing as they're unloading the trailer, because so many of these companies, when you hit the dock, you're not allowed in there, so you can't see what's going on. And then you pull out and you're like, man, the whole freaking side of my wall's busted out now, or I got a hole through my roof, and how that happened, that wasn't there before. And then the guy in the
Yeah,
tow motor's going, oh, I didn't do that. That wasn't me. It must have happened at the last place. And you're like, no, that didn't happen. Well, it just becomes a he said, she said thing,
yep.
and a lot of these van trailers, that's how stuff gets ruined inside of them. And you can never prove, who did it, because they don't allow you in their docks. And that's a lot of the reason why.
As long as you've got Wi-Fi on your truck, you can put a remote camera in the trailer and have
Yeah.
100% coverage. I mean, you're good to
Yeah,
go.
you can do it now. I'm just saying, I'm
Yeah,
surprised that companies haven't implemented that as a standard, that
yeah,
your JB Hunts, your Swifts, that they haven't actually implemented that as a standard in all their trailers to keep from having stuff happen and them being
yeah.
held liable.
Let's get over here and talk about some of the fun stuff that came up. And I was looking around at this, and I thought, this would be a good one. And favorite trucker movies, and this doesn't necessarily have to be, movies that are specific all about the truck. I mean, there's a lot of culture shows and movies that have come up over the years that are all kind of wound up into this, man. And everybody's probably got their favorites, and there's a bunch. And I started looking around, and I'm going, I can't believe how many of these things I've seen, but I can't believe how many I haven't seen. And now I got to go on Prime and go check them all out, man, because I got a whole weekend of binge watching trucker B movies.
Yeah, right.
Waiting to happen.
There's a bunch of them. When you really start looking into how many like B-rated movies there was, from the trucking industry in the 60s and 70s, there is so many genres of movies there that I've never even watched, that I run across them all the time. Like, how did I not know this existed? There's a freaking awesome truck in this movie. I've never seen it, but it's
Yeah.
kind of fun to go watch some of those and watch ones you've never seen. Some of them are pretty boring, though. You watch some of them, and then some of them, they should be like pretty much in a porn store or something, because they're not fit for TV. I can tell you that.
I'm looking at some of the flyers on some of these, and there's a couple here. It's okay, I know what that movie's about, and it ain't trucks.
Yeah, right. Just so happens trucks are involved, but that's not it.
So that just shows you how much things have not changed, because they've gotten more of the same, and that's on social media, man. I mean, it's I don't even want to go down that road, but it's
Well,
such a
have you seen? So
joke.
this is interesting too. Have you seen? So one of the things I've noticed, and I'm a Facebook Marketplace junkie, so I'm on there, drooling over old trucks and trailers all the time. But
Yeah.
have you seen now that guys are using AI? So they'll put like a picture of the tractor on there they're trying to sell, and then they'll get some AI girl in a bikini where she's sitting on the tractor or whatever to try to help sell it, and it's like
Oh
that's
yeah.
like the new thing right now. All
Oh
these
yeah.
guys are doing that. I'm like, when did that start? That just started a couple of weeks ago, it seems like.
You know what, man? So here, well, we're not going to have that conversation either.
Yeah.
There's one that I caught yesterday, and I'm looking at what the content is, and I'm looking at the people who are following, because you know how it always lists your friends that are following. So like, oh hey, Billy's on there, and so Susie. Oh good, let's go there. That must be a fun place to hang out. No, it's not, and they didn't even bother to read or see what the content really is, or maybe Billy and Susie really aren't who I thought they were, because this is what they're into. Yeah. Okay.
You
Either
find out
way,
what your friends are into off social media.
either way, I'm out of here, and I ain't coming around there no more. And I'm not calling Bill or Sue anymore either. They're
Yeah, I
done.
was gonna
I'm done.
say next time you see Bill and Sue, you might hey, how's it going? Keep on moving.
Yeah, exactly. So, uh, this here's one I don't remember seeing this one here. Big and oh, it's on Netflix. It's called Big Rig. But the poster, I want to bring the poster up on it. It's got a cool poster. Let me bring it up. I'll share it on the screen here. Hang on a second. I mean, that's got the double J blinkers on the front and drop visor and the big stat. I
Yeah.
mean, what the heck? Where did this one come from?
Coast to Coast Journey. Let's see here.
It's a '07. Come out
Yeah.
in '07, man. So I have not seen that. That the people who really drive this country. All right. Might have that might huh. This is a documentary, man.
Hmm.
And this is 20 years old, man. So that could
Well,
be interesting. We'll have to check that out. Let's watch that this weekend and get back on that.
yeah. Have you seen there's one too, and it was a show, and it kind of reminded me almost like of Knight Rider without the car. Um there was a show whenever I was a little kid, back when T2000s first came out.
Yeah.
It was a brand new T2000, and I want to say it was either on CMT, it was on one of them, stations. And it was all about this guy driving around the country. And of course, it was like a mix between Knight Rider, Walker Texas Ranger, and trucking. It was like a weird, and he was always driving a semi around. I for the life of me cannot. I was just trying to Google it
I
here
don't
because
know
I
that
don't
one
know what it
either.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was really good. It was like Walker Texas Ranger, only he was a truck driver.
So let's knock out the, like the top 5. Um
Well, I think
and
obviously this is cliche, but you're Smoking the Bandit. The first one is
yeah,
your number one. But
probably
I always say
probably.
the the problem with Smoking the Bandit though is the second one, in my opinion, was good,
Yeah.
but the scene when they were in the desert and all the big rigs lined up, where he drove the Trans Am across all the big rigs and everything to get to the
Yeah.
other side of the hill and all that
Yeah.
stuff. That made that movie because there was so many cool semis in that desert scene. Those were some bad freaking rigs. Like those were the top. Every time I watch that, I'm like, man, every one of those guys, my hat is off to you because they had some badass rides in that
So
movie.
so to contrast that you got that versus Convoy with just, junky old line trucks that
Yeah.
nobody cares, man. It's like
What do you think? They rolled him over, smashed him up, shot him up. They didn't care.
so you got Smokey and the Bandit 1, 2, and 3, right? Wasn't there 3? There was 3,
Yeah, so
wasn't
the
there?
third one is what I was saying that belongs with a porn store. The third one is the most bizarre. I don't even know how at that point, like it was the 80s, that's all I could say. Like whoever thought that was a good idea in the 80s, they definitely had done a a little something extracurricular before they filmed that one.
Well, so here's a funny note on that too. Is where I grew up, there was a movie theater right down the road from where I grew up, and it was walking distance. I'd walk down the road and go to the theater, whether it was for the Sunday matinees or whatever. But once a movie showed up at this place, it would be there forever. And
No.
it had to make so much movie at each theater kind of thing before they could pull it, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, this where I live, man, we're out in the country, dude. It ain't gonna get these big numbers. So Smokey and the Bandit was there for months. And I cannot even tell you how many stinking times I saw that movie. The first one, the second one, the third one, not so much, I don't think, but the first two, yeah. I'll tell you what sucked was when a really bad movie like Blue Lagoon or some crap showed up, and then we're stuck with that. But oh, anyway, Smokey and the Bandit probably is going to, be at the top of the list. But then you got to go back and of course Convoy is in there. One, did you ever see Breakdown with Kurt Russell?
Yeah, Breakdown. Yep, I've seen that one. I think for your third position would be White Line Fever. I mean, I think
Yeah, I
that's
was going
kind
to go
of
White Line. Yeah.
your or fourth, I guess fourth if you want to do Smoke the Bandit 1, 2, and then Convoy and then White Line, in my opinion, would be the third or fourth position of one of
Yeah.
the best movies. That movie in itself was just great.
I'm just going to go
One
Smokey
of
and
the
the
things
Bandit as one for all of them, and just
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. One of the things that's so interesting about these movies too, and you probably remember this as a kid, you're watching them, and the clarity obviously wasn't nearly as good as it is today. So they went back in, they've digitally remastered
yeah,
these movies.
yeah,
And I watched Convoy, I actually just watched Convoy again a few weeks ago on our TV. I never noticed all the stuff in Convoy. Like if you go to the restaurant scene where they're in the restaurant, and Lyle comes in and he ends up getting locked to the old diner bar chair. And he has to shoot himself, his handcuffs off. The dirt, how dirty that restaurant actually was. When you
yeah,
look at like where all the hand grease. And
yeah.
then you can actually see it where, like in the original movie, you're watching it, you can't see any of that. It
Nah,
just looks like an
nah,
old truck stop diner.
right.
Now that place was disgusting on the inside when you look at it. It's a real greasy spoon.
That's funny, man. Well, I think so. We got Convoy, we got Smokey and the Bandit, um, and you said White Line Fever yet or not?
Yeah, I think White Line Fever is number 4, man. I mean that movie is a great freaking, and it's such a good representation. And what I always like about it is the opening scenes of that movie is when they're at the trucker strike, and that is real footage. That wasn't filmed for the movie. That was real news footage that they filmed and then added it to the movie.
Well, I think there's probably a lot of that gets put into these movies over the years, that they have whatever they capture. It could be real life news footage or whatever that they throw in there. Um, who knows? I wonder how much recycled stock footage that has been passed from movie to movie to movie over the years too. But here's one. And White Line Fever, by the way, that was another one of those ones that was at my hometown theater
Forever.
forever. Oh my gosh. Anyway,
Well, it's a good thing. Good thing those movies didn't get old and they're timeless. So that's always good.
it's funny. Yeah, I'll still watch it to this day. I mean, there was some great actors. Yeah, Slim Pickens in there, Jan Michael Vincent. Jan Michael Vincent was the actor who was supposed to be, the next Paul Newman or whatever. There was supposed to be a big, deal, and he kind of just burned out, and he did well, but not like they anticipated he was going to do. But here's one that I think maybe is in that top. I think definitely top 5, but probably, and you're gonna laugh, my favorite trucker movie, man, Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Yeah, that is actually, I mean, That is a pretty good one when you really think about it. That had a great storyline. It was such a unique movie and all the craziness that got into.
Jack Burton says, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a whole culture thing of Jack Burton lines, and the character that was played by Kurt Russell. I mean, it just what a crack up. So here's funny. So look at this truck in here in the poster, the movie bill. It's a Kenworth. He had a
Yeah,
Freightliner.
yeah, yep, of
Oops.
course,
Oops.
yep. Whoever was doing the artwork just didn't care.
We'll see if
Did
they
you
got it
see that
right.
truck? Somebody recently restored the truck. I'm trying to think. I
Yeah.
can't remember whether it went overseas or it's still here.
No, I thought I saw it at a show. Somebody had a version of it at a show. And
Yeah.
I can't remember now that you say that. Yeah. But I mean, I'd love to see
Yeah.
that. That would be a great resto right there, man, to have. I mean, they've got the one from the what's the movie with the clown on the front?
Oh, Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah, Maximum Overdrive, right?
Yeah.
That truck's
Yep,
all
they've
over
got
the
that
place.
one. Yep. Yep.
So
Kurt's still around too, so they should do the sequel. Like they've been doing all these sequels, they should do the
yeah,
sequel to that. That's what
yeah.
sucks, Hollywood's dead in so many ways, but man, Kurt would be great to do a sequel of that and do a modern day old school version of it. I think that'd be pretty cool, but
Uh, well,
yeah.
I love that movie. I that's one of
Another
those. Huh?
I was gonna say another great one's Highballing.
That's on the list here too. Somewhere I saw that highballing.
Yeah.
Um, Maximum Overdrive. That's another one and then of course you got Over the Top. You got to have Stallone in there, right? Remember that one? And he's got the arm
Yeah.
wrestling thing in there that yeah. That's
Bull
smart.
Hurley, man.
Yeah.
Bull Hurley, the arm wrestler. That was the
He was a real deal. He was a real
Oh
deal
yeah.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, oh
So
yeah. Yeah, he definitely was. Yeah.
that
So
that
I think wasn't he truly, because if you look at the one scene, he has a shirt on. It's either a shirt or it's his hat. I can't remember, but it says I think something about LAPD or whatever. He was actually, I think, he was a jailer too at one
okay.
point in Los Angeles. He actually worked in the jail. I'm like, man, could you imagine, you get busted for like DUI and you go in there and that's your guy walking you down the aisle.
Well, that guy. So Petaluma, California, used to be the host city of the World Wrist Wrestling Championships back in the day, and Petaluma, California, actually, when that happened, was kind of a big deal already, and then Over the Top happens. Well, gee, what a great shot in the arm, no pun intended, for Petaluma and the wrestling championship, genre. Uh, but Wide World of Sports used to cover it, man. And I don't know
Yeah.
how many guys are watching right now are going, Wide World of Sports, what's that? Well, before ESPN and all of that kind of stuff, and ABC was the creator, Rune Artledge, of Wide World of Sports, man. That was back in the day, was how we got our concentrated dose of sporting events on Saturday. And it was the Wide World of Sports, and they used to have it on there. And man, great stuff used to happen on that show. But anyway, yeah,
Another one, and it kind of, and that's the thing too, that all the movies came out of that era of like the road and just life on the road,
yeah,
and what life was like out there on the interstates and just that type of lifestyle. Another one, and it's not really a trucking movie, but there is some scenes in there that are trucking related, is Any Which Way But Loose is always a great,
that's on here.
classic that,
Yeah,
yep.
that's on here. But before we drop the ball on Over the Top, that was also the musical score in that. Sammy Hagar wrote the,
Yeah.
the the soundtrack for that. So way to go, Sammy! Got you in there, buddy. Uh, Yeah, Every Which Way But Loose, man. You got to have a Clint Eastwood movie in there somewhere, and there is. And sure enough, in fact, every Which Way But Loose, Any Which Way You Can, and there was a third one in there on that one too, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the third one was. It was
Yeah,
kind of the same thing. It wasn't as widely watched.
yeah, it's always the third, man. It's like the third Godfather. They should have never made that movie.
Right,
Should have left it at 2 and called it a day. Although I
Yeah,
watched.
certain sequels, they just should have never even like let it be the classic that it is. It'd be like trying to remake The Wizard of Oz now, which I think they did. Like, I haven't even
They
seen it.
have.
Like here
They
recently,
did.
they did the Oz or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Let
yeah.
it
But it
let
was.
it be a piece of history. Let it be what it was, and like
Yeah,
just that's what it needs to stay.
yeah. No, there's a lot of redos going on. There's a lot of redos going on. Well,
And apparently, my one-eyed cat thinks he needs to be part of the show today. So
oh, what's up, dude?
yeah. This is
Talk about
Flash. He's not Swift as his name, says, but he's only
yeah.
got one eye, so he's my little buddy, and
He
apparently he
just
needs
looks
to.
angry.
Yeah, that's the way all cats look. They can be completely happy but look angry. So
Yeah, I've got some cats around here, man. One that just it walks by and that's all it'll do. But it'll hang out like at the bottom of the staircase, and just roll around and act all cute and everything. But it won't come up and let you pet it or nothing. It doesn't let anybody touch it.
yeah,
So funny. And this is part of the. It's one of the family cats. It's just one of the ones that wanders around the property. These cats got it made out here, man. I'll tell you.
yeah.
All right, so our top 5: Smokey and the Bandit, Convoy is in there, Big Trouble in Little China, White Line Fever. What's the 5th one going to be?
Man, I don't know. Black Dog, baby.
Black
That's
Dog's pretty cool, man.
a
Meatloaf,
pretty good
Randy
one.
Travis, right? Isn't
Yep,
that
you got Meatloaf.
Randy Travis? That's the other thing about the trucker movies is soundtrack, the music in these movies, man. I mean, look at Smokey and the Bandit. You got Jerry Reed in there. You can't go wrong, right? So
Yeah. Well,
that,
the more I think about it, it becomes between that one and Larger Than Life because you got to admit the comedy side of trucking and Larger Than Life between Bill Murray riding with Matthew McConaughey, the truck driver. I mean, that scene of him getting out of that FLD 120, and yelling at that police officer. That was so iconic, and then now, everybody uses that meme all the time, of whenever Bill Murray looks at him, he goes, "Hey, Tip, have you slept?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I slept last week."
okay. Here we go. Black Dog's probably going to round up our top 5, but I'm not going to let this go without Breaker. Got to bring
Breaker. Yep.
Chuck Norris, man. Chuck
that was a good one.
Look at these trucks in here. I'm just the roughest looking old line trucks you could ever think of, man. They're just rolling around in here. Oh,
well, that
man.
was trucking back then,
Oh,
that's what I say. That's what I love about now that Convoy is so clear. It's like you look and for years you watched it, you're like, okay, they're at a truck stop, whatever, and now you look at it, you're like, what a dingy crap hole. Like I really imagined it was bad, but
Yeah.
now that I can actually see the amount of grease filled up on everything and just the plates, like everything in there looked like just total garbage. And stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, we're at the top of the hour. Got a show again this afternoon for you guys. It is our cover feature show, and we'll be having the June cover of 10-4 magazine. In case you guys haven't seen it, there it is, right there. And I want to bring this up right here. Cody Brenner. Cody's going to be on and in studio with me today and talk about having a trucker's week. Broke the frame on this truck, and so he's down right now, and he's fixing the frame on this thing to get it back on the road. Hopefully by the end of the week, he'll have it back on the road, but we'll be talking about that and more. What it's like to be on the cover and what it's like down in Arizona besides 100 and something degrees today, like it is, I'm sure. So look for that this afternoon, 5:00 on your favorite 10-4 Studio 10-4 live channels. All right, Brandon, thanks, buddy. Say hi to Matt next. Let's see what he's doing next week and get him back on the show. And we got the top 5. I don't know about all time, but probably pretty close. Our favorite trucker movies. There's a lot more to talk about in those movies too, man. They're so much fun. I'm gonna go check out Prime or Netflix or wherever and look at that one that we saw that I haven't seen. Big Rig,
Yeah, check it out. Let me know how that one is. Well, actually, we have Netflix, so I can watch that. Yeah, I'll have to check. I'll watch it too, and we'll collaborate on what we think.
All right. Listen, I'll catch up with you soon, and have a good week.
All righty, buddy. Well, enjoy, and I'll talk to you later.
All right, everybody. Take care. We'll see you all this afternoon.